Okay, welcome everybody to this evening's XAUUSD webinar. My name is Duncan Cooper, and tonight's webinar, coming up tonight, we have Forex Trading Live Market Analysis. That's tonight's webinar. I'll take you through the webinars that are coming through from me this week. So tomorrow, I have two webinars, one at 7 p.m, a review of the recent Forex trading patterns, trade setups, going through market structure that was or had formed through last month. What can we learn from that as we move into the new month? And then we have another quick start webinar for those that are brand new. If you're looking for a strategy to trade, myself and Nathan will be taking you through trend and the quick start strategy. That will be at 8 p.m. Sydney time tomorrow. And then we have coming up from me on Thursday, more live Forex market analysis on the 3rd of August at 7 p.m. So that's what's coming up from me. Before we get into tonight's webinar, if you can read through the risk disclaimer. If you're on our YouTube live stream, I can't see the chat, but you're more than welcome to join us. I've given you the link there. Any questions, just put them into the webinar chat box or the question box. I've got both open. So please read through the disclaimer. Azu, hello to you. Hope you're well. All right, so just give you a moment to read through the disclaimer. All right, we'll move along. Just looking at the people on board tonight. If you're new to the webinars, welcome. And if you don't know me, my name is Duncan Cooper. I'm the Senior Market Strategist and Trading Mentor here at ACY Securities. And I'm a full-time Forex trader. I've been trading the Forex market now for more than 15 years, mentoring for more than 10. If you want to contact me, my email is there, duncan.cooper@acy.com. Through the week, you can connect with me on our website. Go to acy.com, go to the Market News tab, or our YouTube channel, ACY Securities Australia. And you can connect with me personally if you wish on Twitter or LinkedIn, although I think Twitter might be called X now. I'm not quite sure how we call Twitter anymore. But anyway, those are my handles. And through the week, if you want to get access to our analysis on immediate front, then just get access to our Telegram channel. Just contact Nathan Bray to get access. His email is there on screen. And I'll put his email in the chat now. If you want to get access to my chart layouts and templates for MT4 as well, then he can set you up with that. So any questions, just contact Nathan. These details are there in the chat. If you need a demo account setting up or you're interested in a live account, just contact Nathan. He'll sort you out with anything on that front. All right, first up, before we get into the charts, let's have a look at the news coming out for the week, for the day. So we've already had the Aussie cash rate decision, no change there. Kind of market maybe was expecting maybe a rate rise was coming, but that hasn't occurred. Next news coming up to the midnight. These are Queensland, New South Wales time. So getting to midnight this evening into Wednesday, we've got the US ISM manufacturing PMI data, JOLTS job opening figures. Between the two of those items, that could definitely move the markets. For the New Zealand crosses in the morning, 8:45 a.m. employment change QQ and unemployment rate coming out. 10:15 then tomorrow evening as well, ADP non-farm employment change. All right, so that's what's coming up over the next day or two. Into Thursday, we do have the UK interest rate decision at 9 p.m. And of course, on Friday, unemployment job figures for the US, the big one for what we'll consider for the week, but the pound interest rate as well. So I just got a Forex Factory and go through all the items for yourself. Know it's coming out 1 or 2 days ahead. All right, let's get to the charts then. And we'll have a look at the dollar index first of all. Now, when I last spoke in the webinars, we were coming down towards testing support again. I mean, maybe putting in a turnaround point here, but clearly support held on the test and we're moving back up now. From a weekly perspective, we had this very big candle up when the GDP figures came out from the US, and the market thought that was very US dollar positive. Came out better than expected. So we're actually moving above at the moment today, trying to anyway, above what is weekly resistance. So if this keeps moving up, that's not going to be good for pairs to the US dollar. Now, here's the weekly range. We are lower top, lower bottom, but coming back up, and false breaking this breakup support. So is that just going to be a false break for a rally, or are we going to get a much more considerable reversal? We'll have to wait and see. Really, if you're on the side of a continuation of this US dollar downtrend, we really need to see this week that this week's candle closes below support. Well, I should say closes below resistance, but that might become support. So we really need to see that close below there if the overall trend that we've been seeing is going to continue. That closing above there this week is not good if you're positioning yourself, for US dollar weakness. So we'll have to wait and see what the market brings through the course of the week. So the previous 2 days we've been rejecting and holding, but today we're quite clearly obviously heading up there. There's a little bit of an imbalance up here on the dollar index at the 79% level. So maybe this needs to come up for a deeper rally before it can turn around. We'll just have to monitor it. S&P 500. Been waiting for a significant pullback. It's not really coming. All that's really happened over the last 3 or 4 days is we put in a further higher bottom here. We are moving up notably to a considerable weekly high, the short, and we are, quite overextended to the upside there. So, but weekly trend is up there, your day trend is up there. If you're still prepared to be a buyer on that at such high levels, you want to look up for some form of pullback, not just jumping in and buying the top. And I don't think we're really seeing any sign of a reversal just yet. So, a reversal could come if we start putting a lower top, lower bottom, and come back up and rally and form a further lower top. But we're not seeing a price action doing that at the moment. All right, first up, we will drop into the Eurodollar. Now, we had on Thursday this big red candle after the GDP figures. Friday, we came down below support here at 109.76, and then we reversed. Now, of course, we're coming back down to try to move back below 109.76. Now, 109.76 was an area here, and there's a low there at 109.70, 109.76 to the right. That area was strong resistance for quite a while before we moved above it. So I would anticipate that this area could be support. But of course, we're trying to move below as I'm talking, but we're only, 1 pip below 109.70 and only 6 pips below 109.76. So at the moment, we could see some support coming here during the course of the day. Any imbalance on this candle, we could drop to a 1 hour chart, just look at that candle area. Any imbalance here has just been filled. So the imbalance, which was some form of imbalance in there, across 3 candles, has just pretty much been filled. So with that in mind, it could start to hold there. If this was a significant reversal here back up to hold the market, we're probably at 79% retracement area, almost at 109.65. So I will just be monitoring here today to see if this starts to hold and want to move back above 109.76, because if it does, this has been a false move below support, back above. Is this going to be another false move below and we reverse back up? Now, if we clearly trade below last week's low, then, it's less likely that we're moving up this week. So we'll just have to monitor to see if Friday's reversal is going to hold the market or not. The higher time frame trends are up. So all this movement down at the moment, it's just been corrective from the last move up. And it might be worth just having a look as well. Now, the weekly chart here. Just want to know where we are in relation to that fib. Now we could drop down to the 79% level, 109.27. All right. It's just in an area where the market could start to get support for the next leg up, if that's what's going to be happening. You know, the overall, I was just showing you down the weekly chart, the weekly trend is up. That's the last outward move. This is corrective. Trend changes if we break this area here for sure. But at the moment, this could be where the market starts to put in the higher bottom on the weekly chart. So as on the 4-hour chart, I would just be watching the outward move that happened on Friday. Do we start to see support coming in? 79%, 109.65. Support 109.76. This kind of area there. And you can just monitor it on the 15-minute chart. Does this area start to offer support, and do you see a reversal back up? So on the euro-dollar, trends up on the euro-dollar long term. So if I just go back a couple of time frames, whilst the day trend is down at the moment, so here's a day chart. Potentially that's a lower top. That's the lower box, that minor one there. But yeah, if we go to the monthly chart here, we traded above the last lower top. There's a couple of minor higher bottoms here on the monthly chart too. So monthly trend is up there in my mind at the moment, and the weekly trend is a higher bottom, higher top. So this 2-week pullback that we've had at the moment is in a corrective phase against the weekly trends. If we break that weekly low there, 108.33, then things will be probably changing to the downside. So just monitoring to see if we can start to get support in the area that we're holding in. And repaint that back in. Now, of course, at the moment, this is just moving down for the day from 110. And it could just continue down. I'm not going to do anything unless I see it reverse. And some of you may have been looking at 110 for a short, but we can't go back in time. That's 35 pips away now. If you're looking for a short at 110, you've missed the boat. Just monitoring to see whether the corrective phase can start to pause. That would be an area I'll be watching today. Euro yen, of course, on Friday, we had the massive reversal. Well, we had quite a strong decline last week, but Friday with the BOJ policy statements, we traded further down, hit weekly supports. If you go to your weekly chart, there's a weekly high. Also, almost a 62% retracement of that very large upward move. So, is this a bottom area for a push up now long term for the next leg up? That's the way I would be looking at price action there. Now, whether or not we can move above this area at the top, we'll have to wait and see. But that's why price reacted so strongly at weekly support, and you were coming down trying to come down to the 62% level. All right, so there's a day chart look. Now, in opposition to the weekly uptrend, we still have a day downtrend. And it's not out of the question. You could be looking to trade this both ways. If you're thinking that weekly trend is going to hold and long term we're going to move above weekly resistance up here at 158.03, then, how do you get long? Looking to get long, I would look for a pullback to 155.58. Then what happens if we pull back to day support? All right, that would be that we'll watch to then look to manufacture a trade to the upside if it started to hold there, to trade up to try and move through these tops. However, so that's one angle to look at this pair. From just a day chart trend perspective though, which is in opposition to the weekly trend, we do have a double top. We've fallen down to a lower bottom, and this could be forming a lower top here. So there are two ways that you could be looking to trade this, depending if you're thinking just purely on yen's getting weaker after the BOJ. Is that going to continue into the month? If it is, we're going to move through those highs. Or is this trend going to hold in the day chart? There's the 79% level. It's a little bit wicky up there. I think what I'd like to see today, if looking to the downside, I think I'd like to see at least a reversal candle here. A negative candle to start to say, okay, we can't hold a gain in this area because we've had a massive run up Friday into Monday. You know, if we have another gain today, even if we don't trade above Monday's high, we're still putting in a positive day. So if you're looking to the short side, I would be looking for a negative candle first day on the day chart. It is maybe just putting a lower top on the 4-hour chart. So depending on, you know, how you want to look at things. But personally, I would wait for the day chart to give me a negative candle. Because what looks negative right now could be positive by the end of the day. And for me, with that very, you know, we rushed down and we came all the way back up in 2 days. I just think this area here at 155.58, even if we start to sell down, I would be watching this area very closely to be support. So even if you get short and you want to trade this to the downside, thinking this is going to form a lower top here on the daily, be very mindful of 155.58. Don't be shorting too close to that because that could be support. And all that we might see here on the 4-hour chart is, you know, it comes down to here and then it holds and then we're going north again. All right. So some of these pairs at the moment, they're not that easy to determine because we got time frames in contradiction to each other. All right. So you can monitor that. I would just be looking at the moment, what does today's candle bring? Does it still remain positive for the day, or do we get a, you know, we could get an inside negative candle that would certainly lean more to the downside in the short term, but you really need to see a clear break below 155.58 because that could be support. All right, euro pound. Now, from the weekly perspective, you know, we have moved up to a higher top. Are we going to see a higher bottom form? We could actually, you know, come lower into these lows here. You got monthly support there, 85.47. Weekly support there at 85.65. All right, and you know, if I drew a fib in across that weekly run up, we've been down to the 79% level. So that 85.47 with the 79% level could be the buying level, stop below the low to trade back up. All right, right now where price is, it's not a sell, it's not a seller's, for me, it's not a sell area because you're selling in support. If you wanted to sell, you should have sold, you know, higher up when it started to reject up here at 86.58. Right now, for a number of days here, it's been rather consolidatory on support. Is this getting ready to move up? All right. So you can monitor that area. 85.47 is monthly support and the 79% fib. You could be just dropping down to the 15-minute chart at that level. And watch that level today. It's in the green zone as well, the pivots. All right, last week's low is there too. We may just break last week's low and then false break. So this is a very good area to expect support to come in. Do you see your setup to buy, to trade back up? All right, go to the pound dollar. Now, today I put out a Telegram looking at this little daily level support to the left here that we false broke. That's 127.97. We did move down on Friday to this area. This was the breakout area to the upside. So we pull back to the breakout point, 127.59. And we have 62% area in here, lining up with that daily little support area there, 127.97. So I'm just watching. With the weekly trend being up, that's the last weekly move up. Even though it's a 4-hour chart, that's the last weekly move up. So this is pulling back against that move up. Watching at the moment, this 127.97 level. 62% level from the weekly range. And of course, you got the figure in the middle there. So that's where I'm watching. Just price come down to here and hold. Could get some form of left shoulder inverse head right shoulder affair going on there. So just watching to see what happens if we trade down to 12800. I don't care if it trades through a little bit, but does it trade down maybe through it a little bit, hold, reject? Does it get support down there? We reversed back above on Friday. Are we going to see buyers coming back into that area once more? Now, if you've been to my webinars regarding the monthly range, there's last month's low to the high. So I just put a fib across the last month's range. You'll see that the trade down on Friday came to the 79% level of last month's candle range. So that's very important because that could be the end of that pullback right there. So then this is coming down to maybe just like I was just discussing on the euro dollar. Yeah, there's a little 79% level there, 127.88. So has that been the support move up? Is this just going back on the back foot to hold here to trade back up? All right. So that's what I'm monitoring at the moment. Really just monitoring 128. Can price hold down there? We've got of course, we've got the US news coming out. That might just spike it down there. Can we hold at 128? Pound yen, it's done a fresh high today. So we've had 2 days up after Friday's reversal. And I'll just be monitoring that range, but we're well above the 79% level. So just going to the day chart here, massive reversal there. Taking out these 2 highs to the left. So to the monthly chart, this support level from the monthly, 180.41, got false broke, big rejection. Now we did finish negative for the month, but we really just traded down inside last month's range and came all the way back up. This is still very positive on the monthly chart structure. And the weekly here, this is maybe just another higher bottom coming in. All right. To the daily, you try to come down and fill any imbalance. The imbalance in this area didn't fully get filled because there's still a little bit of an imbalance just there, but filled the majority of the imbalance that formed all the way up through that run. Still a little bit of an imbalance, but I think it's had a good go at filling the majority of that imbalance. All right. So I'm anticipating these, if the yen keeps weakening, these yen pairs that have had this massive run up will further move up. I'm just pausing because Timmy asking about the pound. Yeah, the 4-hour time frame is showing a downtrend, but my overall bias on the pound is taken from the weekly chart structure, which is a higher bottom here to top. And I'm just looking at this 2-week pullback as just a corrected pullback. And that corrected pullback, if we go back to the day chart now, is at a 62% area. Well, it's in between the 62. Sorry, I've got that in the wrong spot. 62% level was just there, 128.01, and I'm monitoring the 12800 level. Now, the 4-hour chart, yes, is in a downtrend. I'm not really worried too much about that. The thing I'm watching for is if price gets down to 128, what does it do? Does it hold? If that's going to hold as support for the next move up, just it holding there isn't going to change the 4-hour trend to up. Now, you could wait for the 4-hour trend to turn to up before you decide to do something. It just means then you're going to get in at a higher price. So yeah, the 4-hour time frame is down there at the moment. But I'm looking more at this day chart low over here. That's a day chart low. We false broke it here. Once we false break a low and come back up, we'll often just pull back to it once more to hold. So that's what I'm looking for there. All right, pound yen. It's not in the best area to be a buyer at the moment. If we're going to continue up with this yen weakness, it isn't in the most opportune area because we're very high up here the last period of selling started up here to move down. So it's not the best area in the world to be the buyer. Being a buyer, if you got in earlier at some point on this reversal back up, it'd be happy days now. Now you're waiting to see if price can hold and continue up. Now, clear area to watch here at the moment is day support 182.28. We got last week's high here at 182.33. So we may get some form of pullback, but I will just be watching for, can price pull back to this area? Does this area offer support? All right. If we're going to continue up, it's very unlikely, if you drew a fib across this whole massive range, it's very unlikely we're going to pull back down to here. It's going to pull back to an area of support up here somewhere, these old tops. So if it's going to continue up long term after that very large rejection reversal, this would be the first level that I would watch. And then all these tops here, I'll take, I might take this one here, 181.922, 922, 181.922 it is. All right, I will be watching those 4 hour tops across there as well. I'm not going to get caught buying right high up here, but I would look for a pullback to level 1, 182.28, 181.92. Then what does price do if it pulls back to either one of those levels? Does it start to hold? All right, now let's get into the Aussie pairs. Now I'll take the Aussie first. I put this out on Telegram today. I was watching to see if price would spike up to either 68.05 or spike down to 65.95. Now I haven't spiked anywhere, but we are trading down quite nicely. And this is the area that I'm watching. If we go to the weekly charts, you're just going to see that we are rather range bound here, pretty much failing at these weekly highs and holding down here on weekly supports. And it could just drop below 65.95. There's some more weekly lows here, 65.73, 65.64. But I'm watching 65.95 at the moment to be support. All right, so I'm not doing anything. I'm just watching to see if price can get there at the moment. And I will reassess tomorrow. Depending on what this candle does today, I may still be waiting for price to get down to 65.95 or 6600. The day chart low there, support is at 65.99. So 6600 down to 65.95. What will occur if we trade down to there? That's what I'm watching for. Are we going to hold and then reverse back up? Because we have moved down to here. Whilst we've been playing at this weekly area from over here in the last 2 weeks, we actually traded all the way up to here. Now I'm thinking, okay, we're going to trade all the way back down to here. Now, if that holds and you get long, there could be the opportunity for this to trade up at least to 68.05 to 68.18, or even it just stays, completely range bound and comes back up to those tops. Okay. So that's what I'm watching for there on the Aussie. What happens down at 65.95? Slive is saying pound yen could be falling a double top back from June 2015. Let's just hop back. All right, so see, you're saying it might form a double top up there. Well, it could, but it's got to get there first. So I've got this next level in here at 188.80. For sure, from from 188.80 up to that high there, that whole area there could well be a massive failure point for the pound yen, but we have to get there first. So we'll have to wait and see whether we, continue up from where we're at. But yeah, I mean, this is still in a massive trend. It's corrected the month before when we had that dip down late last week. So this could well be moving up towards the area for sure. All right, back to my Aussie. I've got a question about Azure. You're asking me. All right, I'll have a look at those pairs for you a little bit later. All right, so just back on the Aussie, because I'm going to look at the Aussie in a moment, is we're about 40 pips away from the area that I'm watching to be support. Okay, so bear that in mind, because as I get to the Aussie yen, if that's going to move down 40 pips to test support and then reverse on the Aussie dollar, then the Aussie yen could well pull back. It's been pulling back in line with the Aussie dollar run down at the moment. But if that holds its support and starts to move back up, the Aussie yen will move back up in line with it too. So let's go to the Aussie yen. Now to the day charts, I actually got a fib drawn across the last month's range, and I can see that we're holding at the 79% fib. You look left, that's a weekly top as well over here. I go to the weekly chart. This whole area here is struggling to move above that area, so that could be a selling level. It's very difficult at the moment because we traded down to two levels of weekly support, 1, 2 last Friday, and then we've run all the way back up to weekly resistance. So which side of the market's going to win overall? Or are we just simply traded down to weekly support and trade all the way back up to weekly resistance to then reverse all the way back down? All right, it is tricky, but that was a significant rally for 2 days there. Excuse me one moment. So with that very strong move back up, whilst I can see the 79% levels there and the weekly resistance levels there, we're only trading back inside at the moment yesterday's trading range. All right. And by the end of the day, we could be back all the way up to the top. So I can see why it's bouncing. And, that was a good level to trade down from. But of course, you needed to trade it down from it when price was there, because that would have been the best time to look to get short up there. So with that in mind, let's just go down through the time frames. I just want to see where, because we're trading back inside of yesterday's range, we may only trade back inside yesterday's range and then move back up. So I just want to know where the low is. I just want to draw a fib on the low of that candle. All right, I just want to know where we are within yesterday's trading range. All right, so we've pulled back halfway. So if we pull back to the 62% level, there's a bit of 4-hour support there as well. If we did pull back to the 79% level, that's at 94.06, almost a 9400 level. I don't know if we can pull back all the way down there. I think this just may be a correction today at the moment, and we could be trading all the way back up. So, if we're going to see continued yen weakness, this will probably move through 95.73. If we see that across the yen pairs. So monitoring to see if this puts in some form of intraday bottom today. It may offer you the opportunity to trade back up for a further retest of 95.73. You could be looking for a trend line break, swing point break. Or almost getting a trend line break, breaking above that swing point area there, would turn the 50-minute back into an uptrend. It wouldn't take that much for this to come all the way back up to there. So which side of the market are you on at the moment? The buyer side or the sell side? Of course, we've hit the top of the resistance level, hit the bottom of support on Friday, traded back up, hit resistance yesterday. which way long term is it moving? So, I mean, even this week, this could come all the way back up to 95.73. If this holds once more at 95.73, that is a good seller's level for sure. All right. And if we go back to the day chart, let's just get rid of that fib. I'm much more on the side of this massive rejection down here on 2 weekly support levels, because this came down to where the break started. This is where we broke north to put in that leg up there. So really we've just retraced this move. 79% level. And we come all the way back up in 2 days. I would be very surprised if we don't move up this way. So looking for some kind of pullback, or you simply wait for the 95.73 area to break and then look for that level to be support through the week at some point. All right, it's not easy at the moment getting set, seeing a very clear setup when we've hit weekly support and now we're hitting weekly resistance at the top. You could monitor to see if you see a reversal back to the upside that you like, if you're favoring the upside. All right, cover the Aussie pairs. But the one I'm really watching at the moment across the pairs that I'm watching is the Aussie down here. All right, just watching what happens down there. All right, we'll cover the euro pairs, the pound pairs. Where's the pound at the moment? Can't get down to 128 at the moment. And the euro, what's that doing? It's just in the area that I was talking about, watching for reversal. It's not reversed yet. All right, let's get into New Zealand yen. Again, another pair that's almost done the 79% retracement of the move down. If you're looking at the fib that way. Looking at the other way where we had this move up from here. Almost got to the 79% level. So it's very similar to the Aussie yen structure where it's reclaimed. See, this is where we were kind of consolidating before we broke north. It's just come back to the point of where we started. It's really just filled. An imbalance started here. And we had a number of imbalances up through this period, but the imbalance started here and it came all the way back to completely imbalance. And I'm not saying it's easy to trade down there at the time when the Bank of Japan's releasing data and all the yen pairs are just streaming south aggressively, but all it's really done is pulled to the 79% level just short of and completely filled that imbalance where we broke north from. And then it's reversed all the way back up. So levels to watch, this is a monthly top here. We can't sustain above there at the moment. All right. This is a weekly top here. If I go to my weekly chart, there's a weekly top there and we can't hold above these. Well, that top there's a monthly top. So, but from a weekly chart perspective, it's a 79% retracement. Are we just putting the next leg up? Are we going to form a higher bottom here on the weekly structure just to move continuing up? Of course, at the moment, it's struggling at all these tops, but is it putting in a higher bottom? Is it going to be eventually eroding through these tops? Now, this top here, I will be watching at the moment, 87.30. The fact that we're not holding above the monthly top, this weekly top here, 87.30, that we moved above yesterday, I would just simply watching to see if we can pull back to that level. Is it pulling back to that level and holding? Gives you plenty of room. It starts to hold down there. And then you can start to see price reverse on the 50-minute chart and it starts to show a setup that you might like. There's plenty of room to manage your trade to see where the price can, on the next run up, break above this monthly high over here to then, you know, have a run up to the high. All right, this is just rushed up. It's just a little bit too overextended. You may need to pull back to the next level of support, which is that weekly high there. So watch 87.31 over the next couple of days. Can we pull back to that level for support? All right. Right now, it is just pulling back to day support. I don't like the fact that it's not holding above this monthly, because we closed above the monthly high, but we're not holding it. So I'd much prefer a deeper retracement. Then you've got plenty of room to try to trade up and attack those high points and once more to see where the price can break above. All right. So at the moment, a lot of these pairs, it's just where would I like to trade, and then watching to see where the price can pull back to an area that I like, and then what starts to set up. All right, New Zealand dollar. Let's have a look at the day chart. Now, if we go to the monthly chart, we had a positive month last month. We did reject a little bit these 2 months highs. All right, but a very finished positive, and that positive nature on the candle, even though there's a rejection there, formed a higher bottom to a higher top on the weekly chart. And if you draw a fib across that weekly range, like a lot of these pairs to the US dollar, the weekly trend, like the euro dollar and pound dollar, is up, but we're having that two week pullback, 2.5 week pullback. So 79% level, that weekly range is where we pull back to last week, and day support, got your day chart, there's a day support level there that we're holding at. So my philosophy is we've moved up, we've pulled back, and we could well be moving this way in line with the weekly trend. At the moment though, we've got the job figures coming out for New Zealand tomorrow, so I'll be waiting to see where things are after that, but it's not able to get itself this area of resistance. See how we held here for a long time before we broke north, 6,200. It's not wanting to nicely close above that level at the moment. So I'm just monitoring that at the moment. We could have put the bottom in last week, but until we get past the job figures tomorrow, we may see a further stab down to 61.32 day support, and you've got weekly support 61.10. There's definitely support down there. We may see another stab down there at the moment. So I'm just monitoring, see what can come around after the job figures tomorrow. But certainly watch 61.32 down to 61.10. Does that offer support for a move back up in line with the weekly trend that's been unfolding structurally forming? Okay. All right, dollar Canadian. Now, the area I've been watching for resistance is this low here is weekly support, or was weekly support when we broke below. And this is monthly support, which we broke below. And you can see it's very range bound. It traded down from monthly resistance. There it is, right there. Traded down, and it's all the way back up. So my area of resistance is formed in this area here, that whole area. From the broken monthly support, the broken monthly support here, broken weekly support there. Now, is that going to pop above the area, or is it simply just coming in to move back down? It's getting support down there. You can see yesterday we almost got down to day support, and then we're all the way back up. It's very range bound. Is it going to break north strongly, or is it going to hold? So this trend on the weekly is lower top, lower bottom. So we're just trading back within the range of that move down. So we could come up a little bit higher. 62 level is just above the area at 132.74. All right. So that's my resistance area, but there's a 62% level just above. So it wouldn't surprise me. And yesterday's high, really just filled any imbalance in here. See this 4-hour area of support that got broken, then we dropped. There's a little bit of imbalance in there that was, and yesterday we came up to fill it. So we might see a stab up to here, but really all this is just corrective of this whole drop here. It's not easy to try and work out, is it going to break north or south? But I would be certainly watching up to now 132.62 to 132.74. It's only a 12 pip range in there. Does that area get rejected today? If that rejects after the US news, I have the anticipation that it's going to move back down. All right. All right. Very range bound and choppy, because that went down to a lower bottom. That's good. And we're going all the way back up. So watch this area for failure. And dollar franc, it's just come up to the higher level of monthly resistance. So go to the monthly chart. There is a monthly low here. There's a monthly low there that we broke below last month. Will that area, the whole area in between, be resistance to hold this to move down? Now, there's your day chart. Look, it is in a day chart uptrend at the moment, but that's the area of resistance that we're in. Coming up to test the higher level of monthly resistance, it's 87.57. The lower level is at 86.99. So it's about a 58 pip range there between those two monthly lows. So now if you were prepared to trade at the monthly resistance, it is already pulling back. So you could be watching this to see whether it's going to reverse. You could be simply watching for, in this area, do you see some form of trend line break? As and when it forms, to trade down. All right. With the US dollar news coming out, though, I'd be probably waiting for the US dollar news to come out at midnight. But are we holding here to trade down? A monthly resistance. Now, if today we break above 87.57, I would then have the expectation. I just want to know where the high of last month is. It's there. I just want to draw a fib across the whole of last month, so I can look at that on the day chart. I will just put that. I'm just going to leave it as it is because that's the range of last month. But I can see there that this area where we're highly consolidatory before we broke, there is a very, stretch range down through there. If we don't hold at 87.57, we'll come back to this level. So that is a level to watch over the next 24 hours. Does that hold to trade down? Because if it doesn't, that could become intraday support to trade all the way back up to 89.01. So watch that level at the moment. Do we break above and into, when I say intraday support, it may just on a 15-minute chart just come up to there. Simply start to deal and trade on top of here to move off and up. All right, at the moment, it's acting as resistance, but it may well just flip and become support to go all the way up. So at the moment, it's holding there. So you could be monitoring for some form of turnaround here, if you like to trade the dollar franc, for a move down from monthly resistance. What we could, could break higher to fill that gap. If that breaks high to fill that gap, though, then all the other pairs to the US dollar are going to start to move down. So, look at what they're all doing. Dollar yen. And Slav, you telling me it could go up and fill the imbalance. I think you've just said exactly what I was just saying. Up around about 89.01, all the way up there. You're saying at 88.88, something like that. So, somewhere close to this area up here, though. Yep, the imbalance. Yeah, around about 88.80 maybe, somewhere there. Up to 8900. Yeah, we'll have to wait and see. It is looking, well, you know, if today's candle rejects, then maybe we're not going to jump above that level. Because Friday, last week, we couldn't close above this area. So, you know, we couldn't close in that area last week. So we'll just have to wait and see what brings. Dollar yen, massive reversal last week. Day chart here, this is weekly support. The weekly structure at the moment is still very much solid to the upside. Last week, we just traded all the way down inside the week before. And we're continuing with the higher bottom, higher top, higher bottom structure here. That's why I'm saying on those other yen pairs that have moved all the way back up to their resistance areas, structurally, you know, dollar yen here is very, very much structurally to the upside. All right. I would just be watching. We've broken above this day chart top here, 141.94. That would be the most immediate level of support to pull back to continue its move up. I put that out this morning in the video. All right. So, and I've got a monthly level here from way back in time at 142.17, but I'll be more focused on this daily top, 141.94. So around about 14200. Can that level hold as support on a pullback to continue that move up? That's what I'll be watching for there at the moment. Doesn't matter if it spikes below there and then comes back up on a 4-hour rejection candle, something like that. But watching for a pullback to that daily high top there to be support to continue its move up. It's a little bit overextended in the short term. All right, I'm just trying to get through everything. Got somebody else for me to go through gold, which we'll do, Annie. Gold, it's kind of flipped to the downside. I did say, what are we now, Tuesday? I said Thursday when I was talking that we could reverse up here, and we did. Into a lower bottom, this may be putting another lower top here. So if we close below 1959 today, which is this high here, this actually, we've had a week down last week. We're actually starting to maybe form a lower top here on gold. So this kind of 1-2 triple top up here, we're forming a lower top after the triple top, then we could be seeing a move down. All right, so I would be looking, it's looking a little bit more biased to the downside at the moment. A negative week last week, had a down week, and we couldn't hold above this weekly top. So the critical level is to watch 1959 this week. Is that going to be resistance this week, or is it going to be support? So whatever your setup is, at the moment, this 4-hour chart is structurally still in an uptrend. You know, if we get a 4-hour candle just closing back above 1959, then we're probably moving back up the range. If we break this low and then see a rally and start to hold here in 1959, then we're probably then going to go down this way. So at the moment, the 4-hour chart is just holding its uptrend structure, but it's not holding above 1959, which is a worry. So that's the level to watch, 1959. But most definitely, you know, the day trend there has turned to down. Lower top, lower bottom, we may be performing at a further lower top seems a little bit more of a bias to the downside in short term there. All right, just going to go through Azu's pairs. He wants me to look at the pound Aussie quickly. You're talking about a take profit level. Right, it's breaking out, isn't it? It's breaking out above there. Trying to anyway. Weekly trends up. I mean, it's very choppy in here. Or of course, we're going up today because the Aussie's going down after its interest rate decision. Are you asking me for a take profit level? You're saying 19420. Wow. You could be looking at this high here, which is 1939. You're saying 19420. Don't know how you're getting 194.20. I mean, if I was looking at this and I'm long, I need this to hold above 192.21. I mean, for profit level, you know, would be this area here. That's at 195.15. That's the next major level of resistance. If we're breaking above this area now, next level of resistance is here, 195.15. So that would be a good target. But, you know, today really needs to close above 192.21. If it doesn't, there's a high chance this is moving back the other way. Okay. And Usdcad. So are you long the Usdcad or short? You must be short. You got a profit target of 87.45. There's clear monthly support along this area here. So, you know, of course, that's 87.33. That's 87.83. That 87.83 could hold. So as I say, you know, having your profit targets ahead of supports, well, that's 87.83, and you're saying 87.45. So you're asking the market to move below that level. 2 days ago, it tried to move below the level and couldn't, then had a positive day yesterday. Of course, we're negative today because the Aussie is selling off, but we have traded down today to 87.83. And, you know, I'd be monitoring this 4-hour chart right here. If this can't have if this doesn't want to trade below, I would say the market can't move below 87.83. You know, if you see a positive 4-hour candle finish from where we're sitting right now, it's telling you it doesn't want to go below 87.83, and you're asking for 87.45. So, you know, that a weekly support at the moment is holding. Held there last week. So we got false break, moved up. Held there last week. It's holding there at the moment this week. So whilst you still got red on the 4-hour candle, you know, there's every chance it may want to move down and through, but if you get a positive 4-hour candle finish there, that doesn't look good for a move down at 87.45, okay? So you can make your decision. But, you know, 87, 83 is weekly support. All right. You can make your own decision of what, you know, if you want to trade it for a breakdown through here, you just simply have to look at, you know, I'm not sure where you're in, but, you know, trail your stop somewhere and see where the price will break. But if this shows you a positive closing blue candle down here, that's not good for a move further down. So, you know, you could trade for a break. Try not to give away too much profit. Slav is saying, oh, he's getting close to the top of the channel. So I've still got the marker in there from last time you asked me about oil. It's in that area now, isn't it? So need some form of setup. It's in the reversal zone, 81,782. I mean, depending on how aggressive you want to be, you could just sell, put your stop above the high, or you simply look to the 4-hour chart for some form of reversal. Do you start to see a lower top, lower bottom forming there, or a lower bottom, lower top forming? So at the moment, it's just getting what we call natural selling at resistance because the market knows it's there. Are we going to start to see some structural change down the 4-hour chart? Maybe. Do we see a rejection candle down the day chart? Maybe to signal something. But it's not where you want to be buying. It's clearly where the sellers could simply come back in and, you know, this could just move all the way back down to the bottom of the range. So it is in the high probability reversal area. So you could certainly watch for reversal, yeah, for sure. Okay. All right, everybody. That's all from me tonight. Hopefully you got some levels there you can work with. Coming up on the webinar front from me tomorrow, I'm going to be reviewing last month's price action and setups that may be formed that I think you could learn something from. I'll take you through those. I'll probably have 6 to 8 from the pairs that I follow, and we'll look at the structure that formed. What could you have learned from it? How could you have maybe structured a trade using a particular setup like a 7-9% retracement, head and shoulder pattern, a double top or double bottom pattern, or simply a support or resistance holding failure kind of pattern. All right, so that will be tomorrow at 7. And then if you're new, we've got the quick start webinar at 8, where you can come along and have a look at the quick start trading strategy and get set up with that. There's no cost to get set up with that. Myself and Nathan will be taking you through that one. That's at 8 o'clock. And more analysis from me on Thursday. That's what's going from me this week. So if you have a time, I look forward to seeing you. Thanks very much for joining me this evening. Just be aware, you know, markets are very much factored on the news items coming out. So at midnight tonight, US ISM manufacturing PMI data, job openings. If those numbers are significantly different, then we could well see a stir up on the pairs. All right, so be aware it's coming out midnight there. All right, with that in mind, thanks everybody. Look forward to seeing you next time. Have a good day.